Hi, friends, it's Sister Marla. One of the things I think we have all struggled with or questioned life about or even questioned God about is why negative things happen, why good people suffer, why bad things happen to good people. In fact, there's that powerful book written by a rabbi with that title. And if you haven't already read it, I encourage you to do so. Why do bad things happen to seemingly good people, to people who are in tune with their God, who trust in God, who have lead lives of prayer and service, and yet still negativity comes their way? We see that addressed in our readings this weekend. First, we have Job, who we know had a lot of disappointment, a lot of suffering in his life. He lost his land, his family, all of his belongings. And at the beginning, what we hear is he does complain a bit throughout the book. But as the book comes to a conclusion, we recognize that even in the midst of all that is going wrong in his life, he still praises God. He still says, I know my vindicator lives. He refuses, in the midst of all of the suffering, to put the blame on God or to give up on God or to turn his back on God. We see suffering addressed in the gospel, too, where Jesus has been healing people, and he goes into the home of Simon's mother-in-law, and she is sick, and so he heals her. And then after supper, after sunset, he makes himself available to people in the town. And he must have gone late into the night because it said the whole town was outside. He was healing people who were sick. He was driving away demons. So the next morning, I'm sure to recharge himself, he goes out by himself to pray, to call upon God for continued strength, to call upon God for continued guidance, to make sure that he still had that time for that one-on-one relationship with God. He is found, Simon finds him and has him come back into town and says, so many people are looking for you. And rather than Jesus saying, let me just spend a little bit more time here. I did a lot yesterday. Let me take a day off and wait till tomorrow. He doesn't say that at all. He says, let's go. This is the reason I'm here. For this purpose I have come. The purpose being to relieve the suffering of others, and in doing so, sharing with them the goodness of God. A number of times I have spoken and added in the belief that I have that our life is not about us, that the life we're given, the gifts we are given, are solely for the sake of others, to do what we can to alleviate that suffering, to remind people that in the midst of their down moments, their darkness, that God is still with them, that God is lifting them up. God is not the cause of any of the negativity or suffering in their life, but the main support as they're going through it. And so we are called to be those same people. We are called to listen to people in their struggles, to remind them that God is still with them, and to show them by our own physical presence, by our own support, that this is also part of the reason that we have come into this life. I have a number of sayings on my mirror, and one of them that I'd like to share with you now says, may I be a guard for those who need protection, a guide for those on the path, a boat, a raft, a bridge for those who wish to cross the flood. May I be a lamp in the darkness, a resting place for the weary, a healing medicine for all who are sick, a vase of plenty, a tree of miracles. If we can take that prayer to heart, asking God to open our eyes, open our minds, open our hearts so that we can be used in that way, that we can be used for the good of others, to alleviate suffering, to bring more goodness into their lives, to remind them of the nearness of God, then we too will be able to say, this is a purpose for which I have come.